In this video, I'm going to make a bench because I want to have a place for us to sit and watch the chickens go nuts when we give them treats. Now, I found a simple design in this video, and in that video she uses 2x4s and 2x8s. I'm not going to be using 2x8s because I don't want to have to go and buy lumber. I've got plenty of wood from all of these pallets that I have, and we've also picked up some scraps from a construction site. All of the supplies that they're currently using are stacked up nice and neat, so we leave that alone. But they also have stacks of wood that are going every which way, and there's also empty boxes of fasteners, and there's empty water bottles. It's clearly trash that's going to go in one of the many dumpsters along that street, and then it's going to go off to a landfill. So instead of letting it go to a landfill, we're going to take it and build something out of it. So in her video, she uses two 2x8s that are 4 feet long, 4 2x4s that are 15.5 inches long, and 4 2x4s that are 8 inches long. Since I'm going to be using 2x4s, I'm going to use 4 2x4s, and then I'm just going to glue them together to essentially make a 2x8. I'll start by going through some of our scraps to see if I can find some pieces I can use. And I can also go through some of our longer pieces and cut anything that I need to the right size. After digging through my scrap pile, I found several pieces I can use, and I'm going to cut off the parts with nails or the parts with some of the worst gouges so I can get rid of the ugliest stuff and use the best pieces I have. And I don't want that big gouge in there, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'll use the piece I already cut to measure the next piece. And we got our 15.5 inch pieces cut. Now we need 4 8-inch pieces, and those are going to make up the legs. So I'm just going to look for pieces with the least amount of damage as possible. That piece is kind of ugly. That piece is kind of ugly. Some of these are kind of ugly on one side and not so bad on the other side. And that's fine because the ugly side can be face up. This is going to be a little frame for the legs, so I can make the ugly side right underneath the bench top where no one will ever see it. So as long as it looks good on one side, I can use that piece. Safety first. And again, I'm going to use the piece I just cut to measure the next piece. And this is the uglier side, so I'm going to cut that off and just use this piece. All right, now I have the 4 8-inch pieces. So these and these will be the legs for the bench. Now we need a bench top. I found some pieces that I'm willing to use. I can cut this one in half and get 2 4-foot pieces out of it. I can cut these ones down, but I do have some nails I have to pull out. I may end up just cutting that side off altogether anyway, but the nails are out. All right, so I got all of the nails removed from those. Now I just need to look over the boards and find the section with the least amount of issues. I can cut away the bad stuff and I'll use the best parts that I can. All right, this piece is precisely 4 feet long, so I will repeat the process on these. I'll find the best looking section I can, and then I'll use this to measure my other cuts so they're all exactly the same. Right, 2 more and we'll be ready to go. All right, so all of the pieces are cut. These shorter pieces are going to be the legs. These longer pieces will be the bench top. In the video that I got this idea from, she just started screwing things together at this point. I'm going to have to run these through the jointer so that I can glue them together with a very nice seam. Since my bench top is going to be 4 2x4s instead of 2 2x8s, the next step is going to be to glue these together and glue these together. So I have my boards numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, so I know that these two go together and these two go together. So now I just need to apply some glue and then clamp them together. Since I don't have a ton of clamps, I'm going to go ahead and clamp all of these together at the same time. I just want to prop this up on something now so that the glue doesn't bond to the workbench. So I'm just going to get some scraps of wood, put them underneath. While we're waiting for the glue to dry on the bench top, we can go ahead and screw these legs together. So it's really simple. It's just 2 of the longer pieces with 2 of the shorter pieces in between, and of course the legs will be this way. This way. And then the bench top will go across the top. So we just need to screw this together, and it's a good idea to drill some pilot holes first so we don't risk splitting our wood. I want to make sure the edges are flush. I'll drill a couple of pilot holes. So that's it for the legs for one side of the bench. We do that again, and we have legs for both sides. Then we'll wait a little bit longer for the glue on the bench top to dry, and then we just attach the legs to the bench top. And after we finished screwing the legs, we went and took care of some errands, so the glue has had plenty of time to dry. So I'm going to take off these clamps. So we have basically two 2x8s. We use these to put the bench tops on top of so the glue wouldn't stick to our workbench, and that worked great. It didn't even stick to these, so that was effective. Of course, there's a lot of glue out here. I'm gonna have to get a chisel and just break that off. Yeah, so this is gonna be the bench top. So I could take care of that excess glue, or since it's gonna be the bottom of the bench, I could just leave it alone. But basically, we're just gonna flip these over and then screw in the legs. I'll measure so we have the right distance, but then that's gonna be the bench. Now I'm gonna go ahead and sand down some of this stuff, and I could even fill in some of the voids and dents and divots and whatnot that comes in this wood. You know, this wood came from either pallets or construction scrap. But I don't need to go totally nuts making it look perfect because it's supposed to be a rustic design and it's just going to be sitting outside next to a chicken coop. So I might clean it up a little bit and we'll screw those legs on. So the next thing we need to do is just measure in from the edge a little bit so we can get them centered, and then we can screw them in. And I also want to pay attention to where the ugliest parts of the wood are, since this is reclaimed lumber. I want to have the nicer looking part facing out, and so the ugliest part's going to be in and close to the bench top. So since that's all mangled there, that's going to be under the bench. In the original video, she measured in 1 3/4 inches, but she was using 2x8s, not a couple of 2x4s glued together. So mine is closer to 1 1/4 inches from each side, but I went ahead and measured 1 3/4 inches in this way. Now I'm ready to screw it in. I have to go at a bit of an angle to get into the other board. I can't, since I'm not using one board, I want to be in each one. Now that the legs are screwed in, we've got a bench, a rustic bench that's going to go out next to the chicken coop.